As I exited a Berlin meeting securing a multi-million euro fintech partnership that would solidify our European market dominance, a message flashed: "The house is sold." My heart plummeted in the Friedrichstraße building's grand lobby. I'm Elena Brooks, 35, founder of a Zurich-based corporate restructuring firm, advising governments and revitalizing iconic brands for 11 impactful years. Despite sealing deals worth billions and aiding clients globally, my personal win felt hollow. The house, the one I'd poured 5 years of mortgage payments, renovations, and insurance into, was my supposed sanctuary. My parents, however, had held on to the deed, citing my need for more stability. Suddenly, their email, relayed through my mother, shattered that illusion. "We accepted a stronger offer, far exceeding your down payment." The ink was dry, the deal was done. I stood frozen, rereading the words, the weight of their decision crushing me, especially as I was continents away, closing the most significant deal of my career. Career, assistant, and they'd surreptitiously sold my home. Stepping into a tranquil hallway, I dialed the number. It rang twice. "Oh, Elena!" My mother's voice erupted joyfully. "Did you see our email? Isn't that simply fantastic news?" "Mom," I replied, striving to maintain composure, "that was my residence." "Oh, darling, don't be so melodramatic," she lamented. "Your father and I desperately required the capital. Barton & Co. hasn't been thriving, and you're perpetually jet-setting across Europe with that minor consultancy of yours." A subtle advisory role, if only she grasped the immense burden of the paperwork still residing in my briefcase, if only she witnessed the firm handshake from the German minister, imploring my assistance in revitalizing their public pension funds. "Where, precisely, am I expected to reside upon my return?" I inquired, already privy to the anticipated response. "Oh, you can stay here. Your old room remains untouched, precisely as you left it. It will be as if you've time-traveled back to being 17 again." As if that were a desirable outcome. Back then, all I received were incessant comparisons to my brother Marcus, their celebrated golden boy, now the COO of the very company. They just admitted it was sinking. Back then, I was told to be realistic, marry well, and let Marcus handle the family business I had painstakingly built from scratch. Yet, they'd taken everything from me anyway. "I have to go," I said, cutting the call short. I returned to the conference room where the deal awaited my signature. I glanced at the folder. In 2 weeks, Barton & Co. would face a full-scale audit from a mysterious new consultancy brought in by their newest board member, the one who had just acquired their largest competitor. My firm. They'd soon realize who they sold it to, nervously adjusting their suits in their own boardroom next quarter, only to find their new boss across the table. Revenge, sometimes, needs no raised voice or courtroom drama, just a perfectly timed merger and a quiet seat at the head of the table. While my parents were busy selling my house to prop up their failing logistics company, I was in Berlin, meticulously orchestrating the most ambitious corporate acquisition of my career. Witness Bart & Co., the empire my parents poured their lives into, plummeting into freefall. The cause? Me. For 18 relentless months, I'd been orchestrating its demise, secretly acquiring their debt through a labyrinth of shell corporations and cunning holding firms. Every neglected supplier invoice, every missed interest payment, they all landed in my meticulously planned acquisition. While they believed I was merely a discreet Zurich advisory firm, the truth was I was Elena Brooks, the formidable CEO of Veritas Capital, Europe's most audacious acquisition powerhouse. Distressed asset specialists, we didn't merely rescue companies. We masterfully restructured, dismantled, and assimilated them into superior, more profitable entities. My phone vibrated. A text from Marcus. Mom mentioned the house. Sorry, sis, but business is business. They wielded that phrase like a shield, justifying every cold decision. Refusing my student loan cosign for Marcus's seed funding, liquidating my childhood savings to cover a payroll deficit without so much as a word. And now they'd sold the home I'd poured my heart into, all because the company's interests took precedence. I responded with a concise, understood, then pivoted to my Berlin legal associate Lucas Hoffman. Are the contracts finalized? I inquired in German, a language I'd mastered during an intensive turnaround shadowing in Frankfurt years prior, hinting at a hidden chapter of my life unknown to them. He grinned. Everything is primed, Frab Brooks. By Friday you will command 78% of Barton & Co. I'd signed the final papers with the quiet assurance my family always mistook for meekness. This wasn't just a transaction, it was a full-blown reckoning. In mere weeks, I'd legally secure controlling shares in Barton & Co's, the very empire for which they'd sacrificed all, including me, including my childhood home. I spun towards my assistant. Book me a flight to London, I declared. It's time I paid my parents a visit. The subsequent weeks melted into a whirlwind of high-stakes executive briefings, meticulous internal audits, and asset valuations. I'd retreated to a lavish penthouse, its breathtaking Thames views my silent sanctuary, deliberately ignoring every plea from my mother, every frantic email from Marcus. Let them wallow in their assumptions, believe I was nursing a broken heart over some mundane house. Let them picture me as the overlooked daughter, lost in Europe with her quaint little firm. They were utterly clueless about the seismic shift that was on the horizon. Then came that pivotal morning. I stood before my suite's mirror, my impeccably tailored navy blazer exuding sharp confidence, my hair meticulously pinned with understated precision. The woman staring back wasn't the disappointment they'd so readily dismissed. She was. Clutching the briefcase containing the final documents to seal my absolute control, I strode towards Barton & Co.'s London headquarters. This was the very edifice where my father once declared, "You'll never grasp the true essence of business, Elena." As I entered through the revolving doors, a security guard offered a respectful nod. "Welcome back, Miss Brooks." How amusingly fate turns. If you've been secretly championing Elena's cause, ensure you subscribe, for the upcoming chapter promises not mere retribution, but a profound unveiling. He was already on Veritas, the capital's payroll, much like several pivotal executives within the company, still harbored the belief that it was inherently theirs. The elevator ascent to the penthouse suite of Barton & Co.'s London flagship felt like an endless journey. Floor after floor, I meticulously replayed every past slight. The years of being dismissed, the dismissive eye rolls accompanying my business proposals, the condescending lectures, the blatant deceit, and the ultimate betrayal of selling my ancestral home. All culminating in this singular, defining moment. As the doors finally glided open, I stepped into the hallowed halls, adorned with the portraits of the company's venerated founders, and distinctly heard my mother's. A nervous echo of laughter bounced around the boardroom. My parents and brother, Marcus, were already assembled, likely dissecting the shocking anonymous takeover. I adjusted my blazer cuffs, ready to stride in and unveil the real Elena Brooks. Pausing just outside, I heard my father's booming, frustrated voice. "This must be an error. Some unknown entity can't just waltz in and acquire Barton & Company. We poured our lives into building this company." Marcus, however, confirmed with a measured tone, "Veritas Capital. I've verified it thrice." Our stock ownership is now a commanding 78%, and they've skillfully absorbed the bulk of our debt. Today, we're legally bound to meet their CEO. My mother confidently added, I'm sure it's merely a formality. We've navigated trickier waters before. We always triumph. That's precisely when I made my entrance, opening the boardroom door to immediate hushed silence. Every gaze snapped towards me. My father's expression contorted into a mask of pure irritation. Elena, this is an exclusive board meeting. Whatever domestic drama you're orchestrating can definitely wait. I advanced, projecting an aura of calm and unwavering purpose. Actually, I stated clearly, I'm precisely on schedule. With a soft, deliberate thud, I placed my sleek leather briefcase upon the table. The CEO of Veritas Capital is set to meet you. Marcus frowned, glancing at his watch. Yes, but she's not. I opened the briefcase, sliding out the documentation. I'm here. I'm the CEO of Veritas Capital. Silence. My mother's glass slipped, shattering on the floor. My father's face drained of color. Marcus looked as if he'd seen a phantom. That's impossible, he stammered. You run a boutique consultancy. You can't possibly be… My father cut in. Can't possibly be what exactly? I inquired, tilting my head. Competent, ambitious. You're far too much of a disappointment to outgrow your entire legacy. I've laid out all the papers on the table. You'll find everything in perfect order. Veris Capital now holds majority ownership of Barton & Cohen, including the controlling board seats, as of this very morning. I am your superior. My father reached for the documents, his hands visibly trembling. This is some kind of joke. No, I said calmly. This is a lesson in what happens when you underestimate the wrong daughter. It has to be. Like the joke of selling my house without asking, or borrowing from my education fund without a word, or perhaps the cruel joke of labeling me a failure while I was meticulously constructing a multinational acquisition firm right under your noses. My father's mouth opened, but my mother interjected first. We desperately needed that capital for the company. Indeed, I retorted, my voice slicing through the air with chilling clarity. To safeguard your legacy, I presume. I surveyed the opulent room, a sardonic chuckle escaping my lips. Take a good hard look, Mother. This empire is no longer yours to claim. It belongs to me. Veritas Capital doesn't merely salvage struggling enterprises. We fundamentally rebuild them. And as for Barton & Cohen, you've bled it dry for years. You can't do this. My father choked, voice cracking. We're your parents. I met his eyes. Business is business, remember? I let the phrase hang, their lifelong dismissal of my needs. I faced the board, several members barely suppressing smirks. They'd endured years of my family's profound arrogance and staggering incompetence. Today, they witnessed the tide decisively turn. Effective today, we're enacting sweeping changes, I announced. Marcus, your COO role is terminated, effective immediately. His jaw dropped. Dad, you're… Relinquishing my CEO and maternal duties, your role as head of communications has concluded. You're firing us? Marcus stammered. Your own family? I recalled every birthday sacrificed to phone duty, every cherished vacation derailed for just a little help. They scoffed at my inaugural investment pitch, treating it like a child's project. No, I stated, I'm offering you what you gave me, an opportunity to truly earn your worth. 10 Marcus, how I access the HR file. There's an opening in accounts receivable, entry level. My mother reeled. Dad, we need door-to-door sales reps for our new regional surge. He looked visibly ill. And Mom, the front desk could use a receptionist with a bright smile and sharp recall. Her hands flew to her face as she broke down. Or, I continued tucking the folder away, You can vacate your stations by 5 p. My choices are your undoing. My father's legacy, I seized it. A hand held up. A warning. Careful, you're addressing your superior. My documents clutched, I turned to depart. Yet, at the threshold, I halted. Regarding my house, I began, the one you so readily disposed of. Their heads snapped up, eyes wide. I acquired the development firm that purchased it. The deed returns to my ownership by daybreak. Their expressions were priceless, a blend of utter shock and sweet, sweet retribution. After years of scorn, mockery, and dismissal, I reclaimed not just what they pilfered, but amplified it. 9 a.m. The board meeting resumes tomorrow at 9 a.m. sharp. Have your departmental updates polished. Then, I met my family's gaze over my shoulder. For those of you still employed, the rest of you may gather your personal effects from security. I exited with my head held high, my power undiminished. No longer the invisible daughter, no longer overlooked. As I departed, the sharp, definitive echo of my heels on the marble floor trailed behind me. I could still faintly discern the unfolding chaos, my mother's stifled cries, my father's furious tirade, and Marcus's stunned quietude were background noise for the first time in 35 years. Their cacophony failed to penetrate my sanctuary. I had forged an empire they'd never conceived, a testament to a strength they'd always suppressed. Now, basking in the glow of my hard-won triumph, I finally revealed my true self, not the daughter they had belittled, but a force they'd tragically underestimated. My phone vibrated, a message from Lucas Hoffman in Berlin. Glückwunsch, Frau Brooks, how did it go? A smile played on my lips as I strode into the executive suite. Elevator better than expected. Time to rebuild Barton & Co. my way. As the doors slid shut, I cast one last look at the company's logo, gleaming brass, a stark reminder of the name, the building, the image they'd prioritized over me, time and time again. Now, they could witness me transform it into something that would dwarf their wildest imaginations. Because sometimes, the ultimate triumph isn't just proving them wrong, it's revealing precisely what they were too blind to perceive all along. Stepping into the crisp London air, the building was finally mine, a powerful emblem of. Settling into my father's former office the next morning, I found the sunlight slicing across the desk, illuminating my reflection in the glass. This was my office now. Picking up the morning paper, I chuckled softly. The headline screamed, Baritis Capital acquires Barton & Company, CEO's identity revealed in boardroom shakeup. Little did they know the mastermind behind this seismic shift, the years of meticulous planning, silent strategizing, and calculated maneuvers that culminated in this very moment. The very anonymity they scoffed at had become my ultimate weapon. To them, I was merely the daughter with a modest Swiss consultancy. Yet, that's the beauty of being underestimated. It grants you the flawless camouflage to strike when their gaze is elsewhere. I retrieved my phone, fingers dancing across the screen. Hi, Clara? Yes, I'm ready to list a property, the townhouse on Wrenhurst Lane, recently acquired from the Brooks family. A brief pause. Oh, don't fret. I'm the current owner. Acquired the holding company just last week. I settled back, the line still live, the listing now official. At market, the absence of family discounts can sometimes manifest as karma through scandal, legal battles, or even a powerful woman entering your boardroom in heels, clutching the deed to your entire empire. If you've ever faced being overlooked, underestimated, or told you couldn't, you understand this feeling. To those who have reached this point in my journey, my sincerest gratitude. It genuinely means the world. This wasn't merely about a business or a home. It was about reclaiming my voice, my intrinsic worth, and everything they declared I'd never achieve. If my story resonated, Perhaps you found a familiar echo, then do share your own narrative in the comments, not solely for me, but as a beacon for others needing encouragement. Have you ever faced underestimation from your own kin? Have you toiled in quiet dedication, crafting something extraordinary while onlookers perceived only setbacks? I yearn to hear your experiences, to collectively reaffirm that silent fortitude is indeed strength, and that true power doesn't demand a shout, but persistent forward momentum. Hit that subscribe button, not only to fuel my ability to share more, but because each new subscriber represents a powerful endorsement of individuals like Elena, those who rise not from bitterness, but from a profound sense of purpose. My greatest takeaway is this: you owe no one validation for your potential. Your sole obligation is to yourself, to manifest the person they deemed impossible. Embrace relentless effort, strategic thinking, and unwavering patience, for the ultimate triumph isn't retaliation, but the spectacular realization of your most ambitious self, the one they never envisioned possible. The moment arrives. Stride into the room exuding confidence, as if you own the space, because perhaps, just perhaps, you truly do.